Hello. Today we are going to build a CRUD application using only HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And a CRUD application is just one where you can create items, read items, update, and delete. So a to-do list is a perfect example of a CRUD application. So let's add walk the dog. So we are adding to our to-do list. We can read it, so we can see our to-do list. We can edit it. We are updating the to-do list. Say long walk. And then we can also delete items in the to-do list. Be sure to like and subscribe, and let's get started. All right, let's get started. So what I have done already is I created a folder, and inside of that folder, I created 3 files: index.html, styles.css, and script.js. So first, let's write the HTML for this. So we're going to need HTML tag, and in our head, we want to set the meta. And let's set the title. I'm just going to call it CRUD, things I forgot to do. Now let's link this to the CSS file we've just created. And since it's in the same folder, that's all I have to do. And to make this really pretty, let's add Bootstrap. So if you Google Bootstrap and go to their introduction page, you just need to copy this CSS library in. Sorry, it's hidden by a scroll bar, but I'm just going to click copy. And underneath our style page, I'm going to paste that. Awesome, we're ready to get started. Let's create a body. And the first thing we're gonna do is put a title at the top of the page. We're gonna make a div with the class of title. Inside, we're gonna make H1, we're gonna call it CRUD. Awesome. And let's style this, because if we save it, refresh our HTML page, it looks a little plain. So in here, let's first center it. And then let's set a margin so it's not too close to the top. Looks great. Now we want to create the form that will take in new to-do items. So we're going to make a div. We're going to give it a class name of form. And inside of that, we're going to create a form. And we are going to give it an action of JavaScript. This is just going to be a void checker. It's going to help out. And we are going to send information, so we need a post. And once we submit it, we want it to initiate a function called app.add. So on submit, we're going to want to add a new item to the to-do list. Inside of that, we're going to need the actual text box and an on submit button. So input, we're going to be taking in text. We're going to call it add to do. And placeholder is going to be thing to do. Now we need to submit button. Type is going to be submit. It's going to be equal to add. And since we want it to look nice, we're going to give it a Bootstrap class of BTN and BTN primary. That will make a nice blue button. So let's save it. Awesome, that's what it looks like. And right underneath, we're going to have a counter of things that are, or sorry, the amount of things on the list. So I'm gonna make p tag, you have, and then here is where we're going to display the amount of items on the list. I'm gonna just call it counter. Awesome. And let's style this a little bit. Right now it doesn't look great. Let's align it, center of the page. Let's give it a max width of, let's say 80% of the screen. And let's align the text to center. Great. Now that we've saved that, looks a lot better. So underneath here, we're going to want to make the table where we're actually going to be displaying the list items to do. Oops, I made a quick mistake. This needs to be outside of the form. So here we're going to make a table. We're gonna make a row within the table, and we're gonna call it, give it a class name of to do. And inside of that, we're going to make a table header, and we're just going to title the top row and call it to do. And then we're gonna create another, we're gonna make the body of the table. And inside of the body, this is where we're going to actually be displaying each to-do list item. So we're gonna give this an ID of tasks. Okay, one last thing. We want to have an edit button, and we wanna be able to see what we're editing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create the element right now, and we will have it show up and disappear in the right moment in the future when we're working on the script.js file. So to do that, we're gonna have a div with an ID called, say, edit box. And the role is going to be hidden. This is gonna make it easy to hide and display when we need it. And within that, we need that text box to edit the text. So we're going to create a form with an action. It's going to be the JavaScript void checker. We are sending data, so we need to use the post method. And the ID is going to be save edit. Awesome. Now let's get the actual text input box. Call type is text. And ID is going to be equal to edit to do. Now we need a submit button. So input type is going to be equal to submit value. We'll call this save. And let's make it look nice and give it a nice Bootstrap button class. So BTN success. This will make the button nice and green. And way at the bottom here, let's remember to import our script. So script source is equal to, and whoops, it is equal to, since it's in the same directory, it's script input.js. And let's refresh our page here. And this is what the edit box is going to look like, but we'll have that disappearing and reappearing when it needs to. A couple things I forgot. We want to be able to close the edit box when you click on a line item and you don't actually need to save it. So we're going to add a little X to close it. We're going to call this function close input. And we're going to give it the value that's equal to a little X to close. So that is ampersand pound 10006 semicolon. Save that. Looks great. Now let's style this quickly too. So we have our title, we have our form. We're gonna add our cursor. So we'll do type. And we need to take our edit box, and we do not want to display it. So we're gonna give it a default value of display is none. That will make it disappear on the right-hand side here once we save it and refresh. Let's also give it a max width of 80%. Margin auto, this will center it in the page. And let's give it a margin on the top of about 10 pixels so it doesn't look like it's glued on things. So if we refresh the page, disappeared. Looks good. All right, now let's start our JavaScript. So we have to first, we're gonna create a variable called app, and this is where everything's going to live. Almost everything. So this is we're gonna call EL, make it the element, and it's gonna be equal to document.getElementById tasks. So if we go back to our HTML page, we are getting all of the tasks from our table body. So this is going to get our element with where all the tasks live. We're going to make tasks an empty array. So what we're doing here is we're getting our table body with the ID tasks, and we're assigning it to the element. So this is, we're grabbing the element so that when we get new tasks, we can put it into that table. We're also going to create a new array called tasks, and we're going to leave it empty. CRUD, create, read, update, delete application, is going to be broken down into about 5 functions. So the first is going to be fetch all. And the task of this function is to display all of our to-do list items. Then we have the add function. So this is the create function. This will add new elements to our to-do list. We want to also be able to edit our existing line items. So the fetch is technically the read. So the create, this is create, read, edit is going to be update. We're going to have to pass in the item to update as well. And then delete. We're also going to have to pass in the appropriate item to delete. And one thing we also want to do is display the amount of items we have on our list right here. And we want to keep track of the count. So we're also going to make a function called count. We have to pass in the data in order to get the appropriate count. Oops. And outside of this, we want to call our fetch all function so that we're always updating the to-do list. And tangential to that, we also want to be able to close our edit box right here. So we need to create a function called close input. And we can do that outside of our app. So we're gonna call function input, and we're just gonna get document, get element by ID, edit box, oops, style, display. So we are getting our edit box and we are turning the display onto none. And that is how we close it, and so we don't have to see it. All right, so to fetch all, let's work on this function first. First, we're gonna make a empty variable called data. Oops. And now we only want to display the line items in the to-do list table if there actually are items in the to-do list. So we need a conditional for that. So if there are items in the array, and now we want to display each item. So this data, this is going to be what is being displayed in a line item. So we're gonna have to basically make strings with HTML in them. So we're going to do data plus equals a new table row, data plus equals new cell, and we want to have the count listed too. So do I plus 1 since I starts at 0 and we don't want to display line item, call it 0 when really it's number 1. And we also just want a period after it, space it out. And we want the task at position I, and now we want to close it out. So now we want to add the 2 buttons on the side, the delete button and the edit button. So we're gonna add another cell. Oops, quotations. On click. We're gonna call the app.edit. Oops, made a little mistake here. I need to use double quotes, I need single quotes. All right, and we need to pass in the appropriate array item through our edit function here. So we're going to add it as I. Now we're also going to make it a nice Bootstrap button class. So we're going to give it the class btn danger. Oops. Yeah. And this will come up as orange. And we want to have it display delete. Let's close the tag and let's close the cell. That was a lot of typing. Okay, so let's make this a little easier. We're gonna copy it. Now we need to make the delete button. Oh, sorry. This was the edit button. Now we need to make the delete button. So we're halfway there. We have delete, and instead of danger, we want, sorry, here we need warning. So warning will be orange, delete will be red. On click, we're gonna delete the correct item from the array of tasks, and okay, good. Now we just need to add a row end tag. Outside of this conditional, we just need to call the count function so we can give it the right count. And we want to return our element, inner HTML. We want to make that equal to the data. So we got our HTML by tag, or sorry, by ID here. Now we want to make all of our to-do list items. We want to put that into our element. Now let's go to the add function. So we're gonna do the same thing as before. We're gonna get the element is equal to document get element by ID. This one is going to be add to do. So this is this add button here. It has the ID add to do. And we want to get the value inside of our text box there. So we're gonna do var task equals to our element dot value. Now, if there is a task in there, we want to add the new value to the array. So this dot tasks dot push task dot trim. And the trim just removes the white space from the string. And now we want to set the inside of our text box back to something blank. So if we have some words in there and we click add, we want those words inside to disappear. So to do that, we're going to do dot value. We're just equal it to something blank. Now we want to display the new list. And so we're going to call the fetch all function. We can refresh this. So if we type, let's say walk the dog, click add, well, oops, it looks like I made a quick typo up here. We need this dot tasks. Oops, I forgot to add an S here. Let's add. Awesome. See, why is our edit button not orange? Oops. Have an extra G in there. Let's refresh. Try again. Perfect. Let's style this a little bit too. I don't think this pops out enough. So in the style, let's give it a background color. So for the cell items, let's do background color, and let's do this Alice blue. And let's give it some padding. And align the text to the left. And so this top to do, we don't want it to have this background color. So we also gave it a class called to do, and we're going to make it transparent. And we're going to make this important. Let's refresh. Let's type something random. Awesome. Looks good. Let's go back to our script. Now we need to add the edit function. So we're already passing in the item, so this list item, and we need to be able to show our edit box and change the value. So to do that, we need to get our element, and we're gonna get element to do. Sorry, edit to do. And we're setting the value. Now we want to display the edit box. We're right here, we're changing it from none, so it has no display, to a block display. I want to set self to this. Awesome. So now we need a function for when the submit button is clicked, or sorry, the save button on the submit box is clicked. So we're gonna do document, get element by ID, save, edit, on submit, equal to function, and we're gonna create a variable task that's going to be equal to the element value in our text box. And if there is a task in there, we want to edit the value. So self.tasks. We want to splice the array. So we're going to take the item, delete one item in the array, or sorry, delete that item in the array, and then add in our new task, and without the trailing white space. Forgot a there. Let's see. There we go. And now we want to do the fetch all again, so we essentially refresh the to-do list, and we want to close the box. Awesome. Now we need to delete. This one's nice and easy. We have our item that we're passing in. So this dot tasks We just want to splice it out of the array. Oops. And now we need to fetch all again. Great. Last thing we need to do is count. We want to have that counter there so we know how many items we have in the list. So we're going to get our element, and our element is, we have a little p tag right here with an ID called counter. And we want to say how many tasks we have. So if we have 2 tasks, we need it to display the name called tasks. So we're going to create a variable called name. We're going to equal it to tasks. However, if there's only 1 task in the array, we want it just to say task and not tasks. We do not want it to be plural. So if data exists, and if data equals only 1, then our name is going to be equal to just task. And we want to set our element inner HTML equal to our data. So this is our count that we're passing in, plus just a space, and then plus our name. And if there is nothing in that array, or sorry, if there is no data, if there are no tasks in the array, we're going to set the inner HTML to equal to no, and then name, so no tasks. Looks good. Well, let's try it out. So we've already saved it. We're gonna refresh this. So things to do, let's grocery shop. Great, let's add something else. Let's add walk the dog. See if we can edit. Say, oh no, we want to call it grocery shopping. Save. Awesome. Let's edit again. And because we spelled shopping wrong. 2 P's. Let's say subscribe to Carla Codes. Add that to our list. And let's say we want to delete walk the dog, delete go grocery shopping, and you just want to subscribe to Carla Codes. We have 1 task, and if we add something else again, we can see we have 2 tasks. I'll link the GitHub repository in the description of the video. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Like and subscribe for more content, and let me know what you want to see me do. Or, well, let me know what you want to see me make.